Hello and welcome back to FT Business School. A decade ago, most companies paid little heed to the public policy issues of doing business, but the past few years have seen that change dramatically, and business schools are following suit. One man who knows all about this is James Moore, who leads the Business Society and Public Policy Initiative at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business in Washington. He's also a former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Trade Development. Professor Moore, why is this suddenly taking off now? Why have companies become more interested in these issues? Is it because they are expanding globally, or is it more to do with the politics at home?
I think it's been mainly because they've been expanding globally and certainly have learned firsthand how important it is to really be able to address this intersection. You know, we sit here and we have this wonderful backdrop, and I realize just a few blocks away is the financial district of London, and a few blocks in that direction is the seat of government. And here we're looking at all the people walking the streets of London, the society of London, and realizing all the challenges that are taking place around the globe, and all of these people have got to be able to face it together, not to be able to understand the need for collaboration and to have the sensitivity towards one another really is not going to do much for us in being able to accept the challenges and come up with solutions to many of them.
Right, so how do you think business leaders are doing this? I mean, what sort of mark would you give them out of 10 for actually dealing with the public policy issues?
Well, I'm not going to be real good with them right now because I want to see improvement over time. But, you know, I don't want to really come up with a mark so much, but they're getting there. For example, for a long time, companies in the Silicon Valley just were tone deaf to what was going on in Washington, D.C. And then they realized that regulations were coming out of Washington, that their ability to really generate much in the way of both income and even innovation was being in some ways limited by what was happening in Washington. So all of a sudden we saw almost overnight at times Google, Microsoft, all the great names opening up offices in Washington, D.C. because they finally realized we have got to be able to have a better understanding of what's going on and in turn try to influence what's going on.
So is there a role for business schools in actually training the politicians and people on the Hill?
You bet. First and foremost, we business school like Georgetown's McDonough School of Business, and we've got a wonderful president and a dean who get this, who truly understand what the role of a place like Georgetown with its Jesuit ethic and is doing for future leaders. We are certainly wanting to be able to produce future business leaders who do have a better understanding of what the challenges are. But we even have the chance to be able to influence those who are in government. Here in Great Britain, for example, when you have a change in government, you have approximately 13 people who leave government and 13 people who come in. In the United States, it's slightly different. We have almost 4,000 people who come in to be able to run the government, most of whom have never been to Washington before to run anything. And we all of a sudden are asking them to produce a government that's more effective, more efficient, more accountable. Well, my hope is that Georgetown and the McDonough School of Business in particular are going to be heavily engaged in trying to be able to give a better understanding from the very outset of whatever administration comes into office come January of 2017, because I think at the end of the day there are some best practices of business that could also be used by government to make government a lot stronger, faster, and much more secure in what it's doing for the American people.
Professor Moore, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Della.
For more on business school news and analysis, go to ft.com/business education.